Metro don't trust you, I'm gon'
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Reality. It's your boy Jeremy John, but you don't see him because he is on vacation. But I have my host. I'm not going to even say guest host. My co-host, Rike Akande. How's everything with you, Rike?
Everything is good. Enjoying this weather. Excited to be on the show. It's good to be back at Listen Vision.
It's great that we're able to have some QT. And for those who don't know QT, try and figure it out. Thank you for coming on. Let's talk to my man Jacob, who's in the building. Jacob, how's everything with you?
Oh yeah, what up, dude? How you living over there?
Doing well, man. I am in Virginia, well, Newport News to be exact. Came to see family. But because of what's going on in the sports world, I said, you know what, I still can't give up a week of this show. We got a lot to talk about. NBA free agency will pretty much dominate this show. All the drama that has happened within the last week, we will get into that. Also, some other Major League Baseball news and some NFL news. We'll get into things that happen in the NFL. This is like the calm before the storm with the NFL. Training camp will be starting in about, for some teams, less than a month, actually. We are in July, so some teams will be starting training camp at the end of July. We'll get into that. Riga, how excited are you for football?
Very excited. You already know it's my number one sport to watch, like hands down, easily. It's one of the most interesting sports because, I mean, it's the way that its schedule's laid out. You look forward to it. You anticipate those 2 days, sometimes 3 days a week you get to watch football.
Yes. Let's start off with today in sports history. Today is July the 3rd, 2017. And before we even get to today in sports history, I want to give a shout out to my man Yannick Scarrett, who has been on this show many times.
Yep.
Our boy Yannick got married yesterday, so shout out to him. I doubt he's watching this, but hey, if he is,
we're still showing you love anyways.
If he is, plenty of respect for actually taking time out of his busy schedule to watch his show. So yeah, shout out to Yannick and his wife. I've known Nicole for a little bit, so congratulations to them on this accomplishment in life. All right, today, July 3rd, 2017. Nothing much has happened on July 3rd in sports, surprisingly. Only two notable things. 1947, the Cleveland Indians purchased the contract of Larry Doby from the New Orleans Eagles of the Negro National League. Doby became the first black player to play in the American League. Okay. Also was the first black player to win a World Series. So, of course, we know Jackie Robinson was the first black player to play in all of Major League Baseball. Yes, in all of Major League Baseball. But Larry Doby was specifically in the American League, Jackie Robinson in the National League. And actually, let me correct myself. It wasn't the Major League Baseball. It was the American League and the National League. There were two different leagues at the time. It's later that they merged and became the Major League Baseball League and Major League Baseball. And then they kept the different conferences like American and National. So Jackie Robinson was the first black player of the National League. Larry Doby, the first black player of the American League, and actually was the first black player to win be on a World Series winning team. And that was in 1947. In 2001, the NBA owners unanimously approved the move of the Vancouver Grizzlies to Memphis. Rike, do you remember when the Grizzlies were in Memphis?
Yeah.
I mean, in Vancouver.
Yeah, I do. Just because of the jerseys.
Yeah,
That's
and
about
as a child, it makes you the geography of it. I didn't really know where Vancouver was until an NBA team until they got an NBA team,
Right.
And then we know about the famous situation with local star Steve Francis, who was drafted by the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go there, so he pretty much pushed for a trade, got traded to Houston, and that's where he started out his NBA career.
Right.
Talking about Steve Francis, I mean, who I asked him that question about almost a year ago, and had an interesting situation. We will talk about that on a whole nother day.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
But yes, Vancouver. I remember when they had the Grizzlies. It was that's when I really learned where Vancouver was, and I was like, wow. And
Yeah, it's
then
pretty
of
far.
course, Steve Francis spoke about how far it was, and I said, you know what, Vancouver is pretty far from Maryland. But I hear Vancouver's a great city. Have you been there?
No, I haven't been to Vancouver. I've been to Toronto, but not Vancouver.
Yeah, Toronto's the only city in Canada that I have gone to. Vancouver is definitely one of the places.
Oh no, I have been to Vancouver when I was out at Walla Walla, Washington State. I did go to Vancouver. We had a game in Vancouver.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't remember it though. I didn't do anything significant, but I've been there.
I hear Vancouver is very similar to Washington D.C. How it looks.
It's very city like. I remember it being city like. It was freezing, and we were kind of like in and out. So, we drove in and out of Washington State. So it was city like. I know that though.
And also, a lot of movies are done in Vancouver because it's just cheaper to do it there.
Yeah.
In the movies, the city looks like cities in America. So yeah.
I heard that.
Anyways, let's actually get to some sports. Start off with some weekend quick hitters. NHL free agency. We got a few players moving around, and some players moved around, some players stayed where they are. Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens, the all-star goalie, is remaining in Montreal, 8-year deal. Also, we spoke about TJ Oshie last week. He finalized his deal to stay with the Capitals. Shattenkirk leaving the Capitals and heading to the Rangers.
Yeah.
And the Capitals also were able to retain Evgeny Kuznetsov. So that is one of the key players they were trying to keep, and I'm glad that they were able to keep him. Shout out to Craig Laughlin, color analyst for the Capitals on Comcast Sportsnet. He spoke about this about a month ago when we discussed NHL free agency, so I'm glad that they were able to keep Kuznetsov. Of course, you want to keep everyone that was on the team, but at least they were able to keep Oshie, Kuznetsov, and I think they're still trying to see if they could keep Justin Williams. If you could bring this team back, I understand the Capitals lost in Game 7 in the semifinals, or the conference semifinals. It was a disappointing year, but hey, let's try and keep this team together, and maybe this year can be the year.
Man,
I know we say it every year, but
I say
maybe
that every year
this
about
year
all
could
my
be the year.
sports. But I mean, I say it every year about all my sports, but the Caps are basically the closest team to. I mean, they're always on the cusp. You already know how the seasons go with the Caps. Like, and it's not even we're losing games we should not even be losing.
Yeah, so hopefully, and I did say it right after the year. I said, "Man, I'm not watching hockey," and now it's July, and I'm like, "Yep, man, I can't wait till hockey season starts, and I can't wait to see the Capitals make a run at the Stanley Cup." So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. All right, that's it for our weekend quick hitters. Let's get right into NBA news. NBA free agent. Well, before NBA free agency, let's start off with the NBA awards. That happened last Monday after our show last week. The NBA awards. Russell Westbrook wins the MVP. I know I discussed this with you in our private times and just also on this show. I said it from the beginning that if I had a vote, I would vote for Russell Westbrook for MVP. He won the award. Are you cool with him winning the award, Enrique?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, it was between him and James Harden, and I'm just like, for me, MVP is you having the biggest impact with the smallest amount. Like you just having the most impact, and because his team I feel was weaker, and I mean legit is weaker. I mean, I would feel like he had the biggest impact. The biggest impact to his team. I mean, a lot of people are saying James Harden, because a lot of people actually think the Houston Rockets have a weaker team, which I don't really get. But and I like James Harden more, so I'm not even biased because I don't really care for Russell Westbrook. But I mean, I do believe he deserved it, and he did. And if he didn't get it, oh my gosh, he would have lost his mind. He would have lost his mind.
I think that would have been one of the biggest snubs, like if Westbrook ended up not winning it. I agree with you too. Most valuable player to me is the player who did the most for their team, no matter if their team is great or
exactly.
not. So great.
That's the key. No matter if the team's good, bad, or great, you still have the biggest impact. The team couldn't do anything basically without you.
Yeah, and Harden, I would say any normal year probably would have won MVP, but when Westbrook averages a triple double, and not just a triple double, when Westbrook achieves a triple double during a game, that team basically, okay, let me say this properly, the stat properly, because I'm looking at it right now on the computer. Westbrook and the Thunder won 82% of their games when he had a triple double. When he did not have a triple double, the Thunder only won 33% of their games.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
So, and he had 42 triple doubles this season, the most ever in an NBA season. So, out of 42 games that he had a triple double, they won 82%. I'm not. Let me do some quick math here. I don't have or maybe you know the answer to this, Rike. What is that? What is how many wins is that?
Say it again.
82% of 42. I don't have a calculator right now. Where is the calculator? Pretty much, they won 30 plus games
like
when
35.
he had a triple double.
Like 35, yeah.
35 games. Okay,
we're talking about an 82 game season.
And then the 40 games that he did not have a triple double, they only won a third of that. So we're looking at what? We're only looking at 13 games right there.
Yeah. So
obviously,
basically, he's the reason they won half of the games that they won, more than half.
Exactly. His win share is pretty high. So I'm glad that he ended up winning. Did you actually watch the NBA awards?
No, I saw highlights.
Yeah, I watched it, and he had a great speech.
I watched his speech and him receive his award.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Thanked a lot of people, specifically his teammates, his coaches, family, his wife, his brother, and it was pretty cool. Were you surprised that he did not mention Kevin Durant?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised because it could go either way. I'm not surprised whether he mentioned him or didn't mention him because obviously there's been talk about. Obviously, we know how the falling out was between them. You saw how he behaved in media. He basically said, who's that or what? But then, you hear talks about them calming the storm and them being okay. So it could have gone either way. I'm not surprised he didn't mention him. I wouldn't have been surprised if he did mention him.
Yeah, I was just looking for drama, and I wanted him to at least mention Kevin Durant in something, either by saying, "Yeah, you left me," or
something like that. I thought you meant like shout out to him or something. I know he wasn't going to say that. He wasn't going to say that. Anything, unclassy. He wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, I was really hoping that just for.
I mean, he could have said something like he could have made a sneak diss about. Well, no, because that would have been a sneak diss to his whole team. I mean, regardless of Kevin Durant, those years he played alongside him, and the type of player Westbrook is he's going to get whatever he gets, no matter who's aligned next to him. So he don't need KD to do what he can do. And I wouldn't even say KD or another superstar kind of helps him do what he does. Another superstar might help them win. We'll talk about this when we get to free agency, actually. Never mind.
Yes. We will. Other NBA awards, Defensive Player of the Year was Draymond Green. I thought it was well deserved. Let's go down some other awards. Coach of the Year was... Actually, most improved player was Giannis Antetokounmpo. Second place was Rudy Gobert, and Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets got third. But I think Giannis rightfully won that award.
Yeah.
He went from, the guy who can
freakish athlete,
very good player to now one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Six-man award went to Eric Gordon. The Rookie of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon. This was the one that had kind of some controversy. Did you think Malcolm Brogdon should have won Rookie of the Year?
I don't even pay attention to Rookie of the Year because unless there's like a large standout. So I mean, who is he going up against?
Joel Embiid and Dario Saric.
That's right.
Came in second and third, respectively.
Joel Embiid. I don't know. It's like it's not distinct for me. Like I don't know. None of them. I don't think either one of the three of them like stand out too far apart from the other.
I think when it comes to why Malcolm Brogdon ended up winning, consistency was the key.
Well, yeah,
he
true.
He played the entire year and played consistent the entire year. Joel Embiid only played
right, so that would knock Joel
games.
Embiid off. Yeah, that would knock him off, I guess.
And not only just 33 games, if they had a back-to-back, he wouldn't play one of the either the first or the back end of the back-to-back.
Yeah.
And then Dario Saric, he came on strong as soon as Embiid went out. So now you're talking about, almost halfway through the years when Dario Saric starts to play well. So I just think Brogdon got it because of consistency throughout the entire year. He was also on a playoff team. Now, was he on a playoff team because of him or because of other guys on the Bucks? We'll have to see as his career goes on. But I think I'm cool with the decision of Malcolm Brogdon winning Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And Coach of the Year was Mike D'Antoni of the Houston Rockets. Second place was Greg Popovich. Third was Eric Spoelstra. I think if the Heat had made the playoffs and they were literally one, actually they needed the Brooklyn Nets to win the last game of the year for the Heat to make the playoffs. If they had made the playoffs, I do really think Eric Spoelstra would have ended up being Coach of the Year because they started out at one point one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they stormed all the way back
them real fast.
to ninth place in the East, just missing the playoffs by a tiebreaker with the Chicago Bulls. So I think it would have been quite interesting to see what would have happened. Not only did the team bounce back, you could see clear changes in the coaching philosophy that Eric Spoelstra had, and you could see it led to victories. So that's why I would have said yes, he probably should have got Coach of the Year. But, because they didn't make the playoffs, Also, Houston Rockets, they went from the 8th seed to, the 3rd seed?
Yeah.
Yeah. And literally the same players. And they lost Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
They lost Dwight Howard.
That says a lot.
Harden ends up being an MVP candidate. Eric Gordon wins Sixth Man of the Year. Lou Williams is second place, the Sixth Man of the Year. And of course, the Rockets, like I said, they ended up third place team in the West, all because of a different coach. So I think that's a great decision to be Coach of the Year.
It's a good fit. Their team and D'Antoni are a good fit.
Yep. All right, let's get into NBA free agency, which started at midnight Saturday morning, and
Yup.
this broke actually right before free agency started. Blake Griffin decided to stay with the Clippers. I think it was a 5 year, 173 million. He decided to stay there with the Clippers. Clippers also made some other news. Chris Paul was traded to the Houston Rockets in exchange for a lot of players. In exchange for Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell, Deron Hilliard, DeAndre Liggins, and Kyle Whitler were acquired a few days before the trade to make this trade possible. So they weren't really contributing members of the Rockets, but Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell, they were all on the Rockets. And also, the Rockets sent a protected first round pick for next year and cash considerations. Let's start off with the Clippers.
That is a
They're
lot.
gonna get those guys in exchange. They lose out on Chris Paul. They're gonna get Beverly, Lou Williams, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell, and a protected first round pick and some cash. How do you think the Clippers are gonna fare this coming season?
I think they'll be all right. I mean, you can never judge the first year after all that. That's a huge adjustment. Losing your point guard of how many years? I mean, that's big, one. But I think it's known Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, don't play well together, don't care for each other too much. So it looks like basically they're starting to build the team around Blake Griffin. They're sold on him because this contract was pretty big, wasn't it?
Yep. 5 years, 173.
They're sold on him. So I guess they're trying to build a team around him. And then those are all, some solid pieces to build around him. How they're going to do the first year, I don't know. You can never really say, but I think they'll be all right within the next 2 years. And by all right, I mean obviously making the playoffs, but having a chance. Being all right, I guess it's a matter of, are they going to get to the conference finals? Do I think they're going to get to the conference finals next year? No. You still got teams like the Spurs to get through, Golden State. It's just a lot. The West is the West, and the West has just got stronger. So I think they'll be all right, maybe not in the next year or two. To be able to beat the Warriors or even the Thunder or even the Rockets, they're going to need some more help, but I think they will be better off. They needed to make some type of adjustment with Chris Paul or Blake Griffin. So this is the move to build a team, I guess.
I agree with you also. We're not going to know year one if this trade was a success for the Clippers. It's going to be interesting. I think the Clippers will still make the playoffs in the West.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin has to stay healthy, though. Blake Griffin has to stay healthy. He has to play 70-plus games this year. And he has to be healthy throughout the playoffs also to see how good this team can end up being. Blake Griffin, the previous year, had a great stint when Chris Paul was out for those, 20-plus games.
Yeah.
He had a great run, and then he got injured. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they play without Chris Paul right now. There was also some other rumblings why Chris Paul wanted out of L.A. Chris Paul had lost respect for Doc Rivers, the head coach, who brought in his son, Austin Rivers. And Austin Rivers seems like he hasn't got along with really anyone that's been there. Do you think that was a real issue, or is that just something the media's kind of stirring up?
I don't see why Chris Paul would have problems with Austin Rivers. He didn't threaten him in any way, unless he's saying, and he can't say that he's a main factor as to why the team and the organization is not successful. So, I don't know. I don't see how that could be true. It could be, it could be just drama. But it's Chris Paul. I think the biggest issue was with Blake Griffin. Austin Rivers he's not a non-factor. He's not a non-factor, but to Chris Paul, I feel like he's a non-factor.
I think the straw that broke the camel's back was the trade that never went through this past season. There was a reported trade that the Knicks offered. The Knicks were offering Carmelo Anthony and Sasha Vujacic for Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers, and the trade was never accepted by the Clippers in the time period that the Knicks wanted. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because Chris Paul is probably looking at, look, you didn't give up those guys for Carmelo Anthony, and it all comes down to, I think, Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers, in my opinion, I don't think should really. I mean, he got better this year, but until last season, I don't think he should have even been in the NBA.
Right. That's the thing. Like, we're saying, yeah, he got better, but like, for what that team needs, like, he's expendable. For what that team needs, he's definitely expendable. Yeah, you got better, but you got better, and now finally we were talking about maybe you can play in the NBA. It's not like you got better as an NBA player. You got better to be almost qualified as an NBA player.
Yeah.
So
and the fact that he's Doc Rivers is also the general manager of the team.
Yeah.
He got a position, place on the team, and then you didn't even pull the trigger to get a bona fide all-star for, let's be real, Austin Rivers. You didn't want to give up Austin Rivers.
You didn't want to give your son up.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, man, there's some nepotism there, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Also, Austin Rivers was getting some playing time when he first got there that was just unjustified.
Right.
Of course, he got better, but, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Of course, Doc Rivers denied it and said, Chris Paul and him got along and things like that. And you also got to remember this, a few weeks ago, Austin Rivers and Big Baby. Remember Glenn Davis?
Big Baby.
They got into it over social media because Austin pretty much said, yeah, he didn't take basketball serious. And Big Baby said, bro, you would only be in the NBA if it wasn't for your father's the reason why you're even on this team, and how no one on the team even liked him because he was pretty much like the eyes and ears for the players.
Right.
For Doc Rivers, so that is one thing that they the players did not seem to like about Austin Rivers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play. Now the Rockets. I want to move on to the Rockets. They gave up some pieces. Lou Williams, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell. They're probably going to lose Nene also.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have this team. It's Harden, Chris Paul in the backcourt, who might be one of the best backcourt in the NBA. I would say they're second or third, only behind the Warriors with Thompson and Curry. But the Rockets also have they kept Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, Clint Capella. But who else is on that team? I feel like they have a 5-man roster right now. And it's going to be real interesting. Will they be able to get some other free agent signings or make some other deals to just get some quality role players? I mean, we're not.
They have to.
Stars. They just need to get quality role players.
Yeah, they have to. And are they saying that Chris Paul is the piece that they needed, and that they're just going to plan as far as getting Chris Paul, and that in hopes that they're going to get some strong supporting cast? I just want to know I just want to know where they were going with that. As far as they got this year, the reasons why they didn't lose this year, do they think Chris Paul can take them over the hump minus all those people that they lost? I don't get that part.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like they gave up a lot to get Chris Paul. I know the contracts have to match, things like that, but You know, they gave up Lou Williams and Sam Decker and Harold. And Patrick Beverly. You're talking about 4 players that played.
Yeah.
4 players that were in the rotation outside of Decker in the playoffs, which was kind of weird that he didn't play in the playoffs much. But 4 rotation players for Chris Paul, as great as he is, it's going to be interesting. So we just got to wait and see how they end up playing, especially in the beginning of the year, and see how they go. They'll make the playoffs, but we'll see how good they'll play.
Right.
Other NBA news: Phil Jackson was fired, or they mutually separated. No longer in New York. No longer the president of player operation. It's about time. And of course, New York does things all terrible. Because why would you fire him the week after the draft?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you should have got rid of him before, got someone in there so then they can get a player that would fit what they want to do.
Right.
Phil Jackson drafted this guy from France who, by the way, Malik Monk was on the board still, and Dennis Jr. was on the board still. But Malik Monk was on the board still. And you drafted this unknown commodity from France that is comfortable with running the triangle offense, and now Phil's not going to be there, so Phil can't demand Hornacek runs the
triangle offense.
So now you got someone that doesn't really fit. And now you're Phil Jackson's gone. New York is just interesting. It's a dumpster fire, and I laugh at all my New York friends who support the Knicks and always talk about New York's the mecca of basketball. Yet they can't have decent basketball.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement. I don't know about that one.
They don't have good basketball.
I don't know about that one.
Oh man, so he's out of there. Oh, another trade that happened. Paul George traded from
PG.
the Pacers
PG.
to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
PG.
In exchange for this, listen to this: Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that an indictment on Paul George or an indictment on how, I guess, I don't know, because I felt like the Pacers could have got a lot more out of that deal.
Yeah, Victor Oladipo is trash.
They didn't even get a draft pick out of this.
Victor Oladipo is not good. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get that one. They definitely could have gotten more. OKC definitely came up. Yeah, Victor Oladipo. I don't know.
And
OKC definitely came up though.
And then there's rumors that the Pacers offered to give up a lot more to Boston, the Celtics. Like the Pacers were asking for the draft picks that the Celtics have and like Jay Crowder for
Paul George.
Yes. And,
I'd have been much happier if he went to Boston. I'd have been much happier.
Danny Ainge decided, no, I want to keep these draft picks.
Wow.
Like Danny Ainge might be on the hot seat if these draft picks do not pan out.
Yeah.
Because he has so many draft picks.
I would have been so much happier if he would have went to the Celtics.
He missed out on Jimmy Butler. Oh, by the way, I can't remember. We spoke about Jimmy Butler was traded to Minnesota. Yeah, we spoke about it last week on the show, but I just want to reiterate it. So he was traded to Minnesota. Butler now Paul George traded now to the Thunder. How do you think Paul George is going to play with Russell Westbrook?
I think they'll play well together. Not well, but I think they'll be good together. It's like they're not going to get in each other's way because it's not like KD. I mean, you're not better than Russell Westbrook, so it's not like. I mean, he's going to do what he does. Paul George alongside of Russell Westbrook. I mean, it might be good. Obviously, they both require the ball, but it's not as a big of a split that he had to have with KD. So I don't think it'll be that hard for them to be successful together. And I mean, it's a big help. Paul George is a big help, a big scorer coming. I mean, mainly a scorer. Plays defense too. He's huge. Yeah, could be the 2, 3, 4 at times, and I think they'll be good together.
I agree with you 100%. I think they're going to do well together. And listen to me when I say this. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook together are more powerful, more dominant duo.
Mm-hmm.
However, Paul George and Russell Westbrook are probably going to be a more cohesive duo.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to say they're better, but they're going to be more cohesive. And because of them being more cohesive, anything's possible, in my opinion.
Right. And he defends too. So, and like, this is probably a poor choice of words, but Paul George can be successful and be a scorer and dominant still, being submissive or taking the backseat to Russell Westbrook. KD had no clue how to do it. Granted, he shouldn't have had to do it, but he had no clue how to do it. It didn't work. So when you're saying more cohesive, I get that, and I agree with that 100%. Like, it'll work. Paul George will be okay with the ball not being in his hand at the end of the game. And, I mean, yeah, he's coming on knowing this is Russell Westbrook's team. They'll just work. They'll work better. Question is he going to stay there?
Yes, that is the big question. Not just him. Will Westbrook stay there?
Yeah. Everyone keeps saying Paul George will be there for a year, and he's going to L.A. Lakers, that is. L.A. Lakers.
And that's why I think the good thing was that the Thunder didn't really offer a lot because, of the possibility that Paul George may not be there.
Yeah, again, good for the Thunder. The Pacers still, you wonder what were they thinking?
So it's going to be quite interesting. Let's get to some other free agent moves. JJ Redick signs with the 76ers. He's going to be the veteran presence on that young team.
Basically.
I think that team, as it's made up right now, can be an 8th seed in the East. I really believe. Once everyone's
Jeremy, did you not see the meme of some street ball players playing, like maybe in New York, some random dudes just playing basketball, dribbling off their feet, and people saying that's basically what the Eastern Conference is going to be?
I saw that.
They definitely will make the 8th seed, and this is just, obviously we would still, as the Wizards, have to go through the Cavs, but, this just gives us a better opportunity, I would say. We'd still have to beat the Cavs at the end of the day. We'd still have to get to the conference finals, but they should make the 8th seed. They should. They have a bright future. I had the pleasure of watching Markelle Fultz
I remember
grow up. Like, I was talking about this guy his sophomore year when he finally made varsity, and just watching him bloom. Yeah, junior year. My bad, junior year. And finally blooming. Yeah, like freshman year was just like, who is this puny kid? Sophomore year, it's like he grew, but the skill set didn't grow with it. So it's like crazy. They're a young team. And JJ Redick being the vet, that's not necessarily the person I would want leading and being the vet of my team. Even though I like JJ Redick. But they're gonna be good in years to come.
I think with the 76ers, JJ Redick could be more aggressive. He might just be
he can be. He doesn't have to be that catch and shoot. Yeah, you're right. But at the same time, how much more aggressive? You mean as far as shot selection or penetration?
Yeah, he'll
or
get
what?
more shots. And JJ Redick has gotten better, shooting on the dribble.
Yeah.
He usually was like a catch and shoot or coming around screen. Okay. And he's gotten better. Who would have thought he would have gotten that much better from Duke? JJ Redick at Duke,
because he started out bad. He started out bad. It took him a while to figure out how to play in the NBA, and when he did, he was becoming one of those quick hitters.
Man, it's the tattoos. It's the tattoos. As soon as he started getting tattoos, he got better.
Maybe.
Trying to tell you, he got that sleeve now. He balling right now. Got the
it is
the
nice.
GQ haircut. It's all that.
The tats and the GQ model, role model. I still think they need one more piece though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs. The key is Joel Embiid has to play like 70 games this year.
Yeah, that is key.
70 games, and Ben Simmons about like 70 games also for me to be, I guess, for me to not be cautious because the Sixers were, I guess you could say, an 8th seed already, and then Embiid got hurt, and then things
Boone
just
has
went
walked into the
downhill.
building.
So I think that's exactly what they need. Andre Iguodala is going to be staying with the Warriors. He almost went to the Kings.
Who?
Andre Iguodala.
Oh yeah, Iggy.
Yeah. Gordon Hayward met with the Heat on Saturday, the Celtics yesterday, and he'll be meeting with the Jazz, his last team, today. I just find it interesting where you have to go meet like and your current team or your last team has to recruit you. I just find that kind of weird. Like I feel like you should already know what that team offers, and you should be going to the other teams and seeing what they offer.
Right.
I just find it weird where your team now has to sell a pitch to you. Is it like narcissistic of NBA players right now, or is it like, or they really just want do they just want to be wined and dined, or is this how it really should be?
I mean, I think it should be that way. I mean, they have to sell it. They have to sell it to him. Like, yeah, that's your old home, but still, like, things are different. You still got to sell it to him. I don't think it should be watered down. I don't think the process should be watered down just because it's your previous team.
True. I think a good team would have started this recruiting process well before this point.
Well, yeah.
Like with your current player. So when it came to free agency, it could be like, look, we're just going to reiterate what we've been trying to do.
Yeah, I guess.
And if we need to make any more moves, we're going to try and make these moves to try and entice you. But not this whole, let's try and get this pitch. Because according to insiders, they're doing the whole bringing Rudy Gobert into the meetings and bringing local people.
I didn't know it was that deep. I didn't know it was that deep.
As if he didn't play for Utah.
I didn't know it was that deep.
I'm just like, what's going on? Like, he played on your team his whole career. Like, why do you got to do all of this again?
Yeah, I agree.
So it's quite interesting to see how that goes. Where do you think Gordon Hayward should go?
Out of those teams we named, out of the visits, what were they? Utah,
Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, and of course Utah.
I'd say Miami, maybe. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think where he would fit the best. Where he, like, what team he would be helping the best. What's the best situation between Miami and Boston? I mean, Boston's building something over there, but I don't know.
I feel like he should stay in Utah, to be honest. And he's comfortable there. Rudy Gobert came into his own this year. You still have Joe Johnson, who seems to be getting better right now.
Shout out to my man Joe Johnson.
And then they also got some guy. I honestly can't remember who they got in the draft, but from what I remember, they got someone that can be pretty decent. Now, of course, in the West, you are still dealing with the Warriors.
I was about to ask, how old is he? And if it's money or championship on his mind, I mean, he needs to get out of there. Like if he's legit trying to make a run or get on a team that's approaching, the opportunity to get to the championship, because I don't think that's not happening in Utah anytime soon.
Yeah.
Them even getting
now,
to the conference.
If he wants to win soon, then probably Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
But if you just want to
money,
say eventually you want to win and you want to make money, go to Miami, because Miami's in Florida, which doesn't have a state income tax.
Right.
You, of course, have Hassan Whiteside.
Right.
You have Tyler Johnson. You could be the star there and still be able. You wouldn't really have to change your game, and that team is pretty decent. And it's in the East. You're
exactly.
in the Southeastern
That's what
division.
I was saying. Like, either way, if it's money or you're trying to really take a run at a championship, I mean, you would have to go to one of those teams.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Jeff Teague signing with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Jeff
Rubio
Teague.
was traded this week to. I'm having a blank. Where did he get traded to? But Rubio was traded, which created room for Jeff Teague to go to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves are going to definitely make the playoffs, and I think there could possibly be like a 5 or 6 seed in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're gonna be good.
I think they
They're
could be
gonna
a
be
5.
good.
I'm not going to even say 8 seed. I think they could be a 5 or a 6 seed in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
their roster looks pretty legit.
Man, oh
Let me
man.
actually go look at it.
John Wall, the Wizards offered him a extension. He's still trying to decide if he wants to sign it.
Or wait.
Eventually, I think the Wizards just did this to show good favor, and eventually, the Wizards will end up signing John Wall. So I don't think John Wall is out of Washington.
Right.
One player that I do think that is out of Washington, or potentially
Marchin?
could be out of Washington, Otto Porter. Did you see what
Otto?
the Kings offered?
Yeah.
The Kings offered $100 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Wizards could do that.
Could or should.
Because,
Could or should.
I think
Otto Porter's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. We talk about Otto Porter. I like Otto Porter. But what we need, I mean, we might get if we leave, like, if we part ways with Otto Porter, because we're not obviously winning with what we have. So I don't know. It's weird.
okay, if I had a general manager like RJ Buford in San Antonio, I would say yes, let Otto Porter Jr. walk, and that money that you're going to get from the salary, the increased money that you're going to get, RJ Buford or the Spurs can find multiple people at cheaper costs to do almost the same thing or even better.
Right.
Because we have Ernie Grunfeld.
I hear you.
Who can't seem to get anybody outside of a star player.
Uh-huh.
And that's as of late, he's only been able to get star players, keeping Bradley Beal and possibly keeping John Wall. Ernie Grunfeld can't do anything. Like, this bench, as you can see, is horrible. The bench for the Wizards is the reason why the Wizards didn't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Not John Wall, not Bradley Beal,
definitely not John Wall.
Not even Scott Brooks, who made some questionable decisions.
I am going to put a little blame on a one starter, but it's definitely our bench is an issue.
Yes, the bench is the issue. You can't tell me that every game in the 7-game series, the Wizards are ahead when the starters go to the bench, and then they're ahead big, and then the bench comes in and the Celtics come back. Like, you can't tell me, like, all right, that's just the Celtics. Like, no, our bench is horrible. And back to what I was saying, if we lose Otto Porter, I don't think Ernie Grunfeld's going to be able to get enough players to just pick up the slack.
So give him $100 million?
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like Otto Porter, unless the plan is, look, let Otto Porter walk, and we are really just trying to clear up space for next year, because next year things get interesting.
Yeah.
I forgot. Of course, Russell Westbrook, Paul George. There's a whole bunch of other free agents.
But then again, it's like, can we get these people? Is the question. So I don't know. It's a weird situation.
This is how you're going to, and we're both Wizards fans, this is how you're going to get them. If you show, if the Wizards can make it to the
conference finals,
Eastern Conference Finals,
yeah.
then a star would be like, oh, okay.
Make it to the finals after we've let Otto Porter go, or you mean
yeah. It's like, oh, we made it this far. If they get me, LeBron may be going to the West.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why he wants to be in LA, probably, yeah. But
at this point, LeBron's just trying to. At this point, I feel like LeBron's just trying to conquer it all. Like, I mean, all right, he looked good going back home, winning the championship, won the championship in Miami, left. Got got all the criticism, obviously, and then went back, and then like now it's just like he likes LA, so why not play for one of the biggest organizations in the NBA and win a championship with some young boys? And I mean, he's just probably just chasing the rings any way possible.
Man, it's gonna be interesting.
And I'm not saying chasing,
but yeah, Otto Porter. I'm not sure what the Wizards should do. I'll be honest. I really don't have an answer. And whatever happens, and hopefully they can get better quickly. I know we probably only have like 2 or 3 minutes, right, Jacob?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So quickly, I want to get to this. There was a big title fight in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Mayweather versus some guy in Australia. Mayweather, you want to hear this? Landed double the amount of punches that the Australian landed. It went 12 rounds, and the Australian by the name of Jeff, I can't remember his last name. This is how crazy. I don't even know his name. That guy won by unanimous decision. So this is the second time Manny Pacquiao has been cheated by the refs. And it was real crazy because the fight was in Australia. He was fighting an Australian. I watched the highlights, and then I went back and I watched the fight, and I said, there's no way this dude won. Manny was just landing more punches.
Yeah.
Landing more punches. Also, the guy, his face was messed up.
Yeah,
the fight was almost stopped in the 9th round because of how bad he was fighting.
Yeah.
Like, the referee almost stepped in, and that's why I think there was a fix on this fight. I really believe so, because the fighter's his name is Jeff. Man, I don't even know. I'm not even looking. I'm not even giving him the time of the day because he shouldn't have even been fighting. This dude was like a middle school teacher that's fighting Manny Pacquiao. Got beat, and I feel like the judges said, "Oh, you survived the fight, so we're going to give you the win," instead of, "Oh, you actually outboxed him."
Right.
So, and then there was also a rematch clause that if Pacquiao lost, they had to fight again. I think they're just doing it for more money. The fight was in Australia. The fight was commissioned by Australians. It was promoted by the Australian government.
Right.
This was all a ploy, man. And it's really sad because this is why people hate boxing, because they know it's all a scam.
Yeah, basically. It's not even about understanding the game. It confuses me all the time.
There's so many different. There's the WBA, WBO, WBI, the International Boxing Federation, the IBF. There's the different titles. There's, of course, the different weight classes. And then you don't get the fights you want when you want them.
Right.
Like, look how long it took for us to get Mayweather Pacquiao.
Yeah.
5 years too late, and it ended up being a snooze fest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then it doesn't even go according to the book. I mean, it's you see how how games are supposed to be judged and matches won or whatever, and then it's all about who people want to win. It's all about the favor or whatever. And
the crazy thing is, this fight for me and how the judges did what they did, it scares me when it comes to Mayweather and McGregor, because this can possibly happen.
Yeah.
Where they say, well, McGregor actually survived the fight, so let's give it to him. Like, instead of McGregor actually winning it. Man, oh man. We only got like probably a minute left, so I want to just thank Rike for coming on, stepping in to the studio, making this possible. I want to thank you, Jacob, for everything that you do.
Yes.
Quickly, do you think the Redskins should sign Kirk Cousins?
Seriously, you waited till the last 30 seconds of the show to ask me that question, as if I could just give you a yes or no answer and walk away.
Should they sign him to a long-term deal before the franchise tag deadline in a couple weeks? In like a week, I think.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy.
Strategic there, wasn't it?
Very. I'm gonna say I don't know. I'm gonna say everybody tune into Twitter. I'm gonna answer Jeremy's question in about 5 tweets. Tweets.
Tune into Twitter.
I like Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins, but unless we're about to really build something around him, where we're giving him the picture perfect scenario, the best offensive line ever, the best defensive line ever. I don't know.
I'm gonna wrap this up real quick, but many of you all know I'm not a Redskins fan. However, let's be real. If you sign Kirk Cousins to a mega deal that he wants, he saw Carr sign that 125 5-year deal.
Yeah.
If you sign Kirk Cousins to that, there will be no one else on this team.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem.
And
Stay tuned to
Kirk
our tweets.
Cousins
Stay tuned
is
to our
a-
tweets. We're going to
Kirk-
continue this, Jeremy.
Yes, we'll have to continue this another time. Thank you, Rike, for coming on. I want to
No
thank
problem.
you, Jacob, for everything you do. Thank you for watching and listening to the show. Thank you for supporting the Facebook page. Shout out to BLK Sports 980. They always support us. Until next time, everyone, Sports Reality, happy 4th of July.
Young Metro, don't trust you. I'm gonna.